Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hui Ood, an
Back.
unofficial.
That's pretty assuming, Ben.
Is that presumptuous of me?
What if they're coming into us for the Invisible Enemy podcast?
You think this would be the one that they tune into first? They're like, Challenge to the Daleks? Talons of Wang Chiang? Pyramids of Mars? Nah. Invisible Enemy? Holy, I gotta check these guys out.
Yeah.
Maybe, but whether it's for you're here for the first time or whether you're coming back for our 48th episode, I think this will be.
Who knows? Who's counting, Ben?
49 it should be. Almost to 50. Woo.
Woo!
But this is Who We Is. I'm Ben. I'm here with my co-host Cam. How you doing today, Cam?
I am doing wonderful. We are on new Doctor Who Eve, Ben.
Is this new Doctor Who Eve?
It's an exciting. Oh yeah, it's tomorrow. Tomorrow morning.
Oh.
It's exciting times, but also it is scary times, Ben. How fully aware are you about this upcoming season and the state of what it might be the next season?
All I'm aware of, which is what we've talked about, is that is there a season 3? I don't know. Disney still hasn't renewed the contract.
And basically, what has been added onto this is that Russell has been doing more interviews because, of course, he's promoting the new season. Russell T Davies is the showrunner of Doctor Who at the moment, and he's basically just being like, "I don't know, I could." Who really knows? and it's just like, holy shit! The guy that's in charge of this has just as much of an idea, of this show is coming back or not than me. This fucking 24-year-old in Massachusetts that knows nothing about the production of Doctor Who knows just as much as the guy who's in charge of Doctor Who. It's very scary times. Also,
Yeah.
there is rumors circulating that Ncuti Gatwa might be out. He maybe has filmed a regeneration scene already.
Already?
Who knows?
Not even
That's
getting
the
to
rumor.
the what is typical new series? 3 seasons?
3 seasons in that. That's the typical. The only one that hasn't done that is
Eccleston, of course. Wow.
but like the rumor is basically that like he just wants to like have his life again. He doesn't want to just be constrained to Doctor Who, which kind of makes sense. He is an up and coming
He
star.
just started though. Like
2 years, Ben.
has it been 2 years already?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you count Giggle was what ended 2023.
But also Church and Ruby Road is that same year. So we got 2.
I guess we'll see. If nothing else, we'll have the war between the land and the sea.
And then Doctor Who will not be on the like, oh my god, I didn't even think about that. Doctor Who might be gone for years. But the end note is not going to be even Doctor Who. It's going to be the war between the land and the sea. That's going to be the end note of Doctor Who for the foreseeable future in that world. What a time to live in.
It's not impossible. It's funny we should say that. In the episode that we're gonna talk about, they say land and the sea, and I was like, oh, that's like the show that's gonna come out.
What the terrible name?
But we will enjoy that in a couple years, I'm sure.
I won't enjoy it. It could be shit. Like, this might be the worst thing ever produced. Who knows?
I mean, we will see. I, of course, am not going to watch it for quite some time, but Cam, I hope it is wonderful for you.
I'm going to have to savor it. Like, I'm going to really have to be like, this might be the last time I watch Doctor Who since I, like, have gray hair. Who knows, Ben? This could be, it could be the last for a while. So I have to make it like.
I mean, haven't they said, even if Disney is out, you know, Bad Wolf would still do what they can.
Russell said at one point that like no matter what, he like Doctor Who will survive just because like they'll make it tomorrow if we had like $5 and it would just be all gothic sets and like in just the one set the whole episode and just like they'll continue on.
I mean, it's like the UK's like main cultural export other than like what? Sherlock Holmes and the Great British Bake Off?
Like even Sherlock hasn't gone for a while. That show's basically dead at this point.
I mean, not Sherlock starring Benedict Cumberbatch, but Sherlock Holmes, the work of fiction.
Yeah.
The body of work.
You got Called the Midwife. You got Luther. I think Luther's still going around.
I don't know what either of those things are.
You got whatever the Love Island. I think it's Love Island.
Is that British?
Yeah, Love Island's British.
Well, I'll still be here for Taskmaster if nothing else.
Did you see that they're doing an SNL like UK version? Like crazy times we're living in.
Why?
Who knows? Oh, also, the bigger question is why now? You would think they would have done that like in the 70s or the 80s or the 90s. They waited 50 years to be like, let's go British, guys.
Okay, sure.
Can't be worse than the US version.
Could be.
But today we're not talking about SNL, Ben.
No, it's not SNL. Today we're talking about The Invisible Enemy.
Ooh boy.
Ooh, yeah. The second serial of season 15, broadcast from October 1st to October 22nd in 1977. Written by the duo Bob Baker and Dave Martin.
Do you remember their nickname?
I do not know their nickname.
The nickname was the Bristol Boys.
It sounds vaguely familiar.
Yeah.
The last did just last season Hand of Fear, and before that the Sontaran Experiment. Directed by Derek Goodwin, who this is his sole serial.
His sole credit on Doctor Who.
Yes. And of course, this is still the start of the Graham Williams produced era.
You can say that this is like the first, even though it's not really the first one, this is kind of the first one. Like the last one still felt kind of in that same era, if you know what I mean. I think we'll get into it more. This feels kind of different from what we got before. Not getting too much into it.
Yeah. I mean, we can get into it. What did you think of this serial, Cam?
It's the most average Doctor Who episode I think I ever watched. It's pretty average. It's not bad, but it's not great. It's just kind of, it's Doctor Who. It's average Doctor Who. I'm going to watch it and I'm going to enjoy myself watching it. But like, if somebody else watched this that wasn't really that big into Doctor Who, they probably would be like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah, probably. Is this one you'd seen before?
I have not seen this one before. So like, basically, Graham Williams era, I'm not as familiar with as the Hinchcliffe era. The Hinchcliffe era, I think you probably noticed I've seen a majority of them. This one, Graham Williams, I literally only from season 15, the only episode of the serial I've saw before this was Horror Finglock. So all the rest of the season is going to be brand new to me.
Wow.
So it's going to be an experience, Ben.
Yeah.
And like, yeah, it's just kind of an average episode of Doctor Who. It's Doctor Who, of course, doing Fantastic Voyage. Because every science fiction show has to do the Fantastic Voyage at some point.
Fantastic Voyage?
Are you not aware of this movie, Ben?
I am unaware of this movie.
You're probably aware of the trope of every science fiction thing has to do an episode where they go inside the human body.
I am familiar.
That was the movie that started that. So like they go down in a little ship and they explore the human body. And it was like, you know, special effects marvel of like, oh my god, they're inside the arteries. Oh my god, they're inside the heart. I had never seen the movie, but I've seen, of course, all the variations of it. I remember as a child vividly the Magic School Bus version of this story. Did you watch the Magic School Bus episode when they go inside the human body?
I had an American education. I watched a lot of media.
And then, of course, there's the Rick and Morty episode. That's like, I think it's like the second episode. They do the trope of the Fantastic Voyage episode.
Is it the one where there's like a theme park and like an old homeless guy?
Yeah, inside the homeless man's body, I think.
Yeah.
So like, basically what I'm saying is like that's the trope, right? Like now that I've explained it to you, you can probably probably see it. And that's what this is just Doctor Who's version of it. And like, it's kind of weird that like you say that, but also. Well, not you say that. I say that, but it's not really the majority of the story.
No, it's just one of the 4 parts.
Yeah, and they're not even that. It's not even like the majority of that pot.
No, it keeps bouncing back and forth between inside his head and outside his head.
But yeah, it's average. What do you think of it, Ben?
I thought it was probably over ambitious for what it could accomplish, but I did think it had these frequent changes in the setting which kind of kept things from dragging. If it was like all in one of the locations, it would have gotten boring, but there's a lot going on. I think I seem to like it more than you do, but it is pretty average, I would say.
But I just want to say real quick, I think something I wanted just to say overall about the story is I think this you can kind of see that this is a turning point in the show. That this is
Yeah.
a science fiction episode. I don't think you could have told us like this is very a science fiction story. This isn't like gothic horror. This isn't like a retelling of an old literature. This isn't even like a Quatermass type thing as like a John Pertwee story. You couldn't see this story in like season 13 as just as much as you can't see this in season 9. This isn't like a John Pertwee story, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. This is very much science fiction.
And it's not like hiding itself that's like, oh no, we're above this. I think you can kind of like one, maybe this would have been Graham Williams input in the show, but also I think it's worth putting out there that Star Wars was just around this time. This was the year of Star Wars. So would have to gather that that had to have some effect on it. That this was like in the fall of that year, where Star Wars, of course, came out that summer. So Star Wars would have been coming out during the production of this.
Yeah.
So of course that would have gave them a little bit more freeway to be like, no, we can go more into the science fiction element into it. And as well as like you said, being over ambitious with it, they would have to try to be over ambitious just to be like, we have to compete with that in a way.
Hmm.
In a very Doctor Who way of no, they really can't.
Yeah, it definitely there's a lot of different effects from in this story, both practical and digital. Or I guess would it be digital? Technically? I guess it's all
Oh, well, not digital. It's not in a computer. No computers are being used for Doctor Who at this point, Ben.
but special effects and just like makeup and
Yeah. Moving on, this is the introduction of K9. Because, like, of course, like I said, Star Wars just came out. Star Wars had talking funny robots. So, of course, Doctor Who has to have his talking
ah,
funny robot.
I didn't even think about that. In my mind, this was kind of part of a pivot to more of like a family demographic over, while, Philip Hinchcliffe kind of skewed a little bit older. Maybe this is skewing kind of back into the E for everyone range where, the doctor has to have a robot dog.
No, I definitely agree with you there that this is a story that you could like even a 4 or 5 year old could watch this story and like you wouldn't be that much like, oh my god, they're seeing stuff that they shouldn't see. The whole family could watch The Invisible Enemy. I don't know if the whole family would be entertained by The Invisible Enemy, but
Yeah.
the whole family could watch The Invisible Enemy in a way that the whole family couldn't watch Brina Morbius.
There's a teeny little bit of body horror, but most of it is pretty tame. And of course, Leela's back in her classic outfit for the dads, and presumably the kids will like the robot dog.
And mom will definitely love Tom Baker.
And oh, so presumably everyone is somewhat contented, more so than they may have for a horror of Fang Rock, which is very much more of a gothic horror.
So like definitely you can like I think I'm curious for like it's hard to say this now because we don't know Graham Williams like input on the show yet. But I think it's pretty clear to say that like Horror Fang Rock is a story that you could imagine Philip Hinchcliffe producing.
Very easily.
I think we're gonna get more further on and say that like pretty clearly like no, that's not really a Graham Williams story. While like something like this is much more of a Graham Williams story from what I've seen of just like that it's more science fictiony and less gothic and horror-y.
Yeah. So what we talked about his kind of effect. What do you think of K9 as a companion? I guess he's a companion.
He's not really yeah, he is. Like in this story, he's just kind of is just more of a robot as like not even a robot. He's more of just a computer. Like that's what the doctor, not the doctor, but like the Professor Marius. I'm just gonna say the professor. That's what the professor uses him for. It's just like he just asks them questions. The K9
Yeah.
calculates them, and he has a little receipt on his on his head that just pops out. That he's like, okay, here you go, master.
And then Leela mostly just uses him as a gun.
Yeah,
And the doctor wants him for some reason.
because he's adorable. He's a little dog. That's a talking robot dog. Of course, the doctor would be like, I love this thing.
But he's Marius's best friend.
But why does he give him away at the end of the story? He gives him away because like they're going somewhere that he can't have him.
He wanted a dog. He couldn't bring a dog to space, so he got a robot dog. But now he's going back to Earth, and I guess they can't have robot dogs on Earth or something.
And of course, he has the iconic line that we had to talk about somewhere, where he says he hopes that he's TARDIS trained, which makes no sense whatsoever as a line. But also, it's kind of wonderful that that's the last line of this story. But like, yeah, like, what did you think of K9? He's just kind of just there. He doesn't do much.
He's like has a laser gun.
And like I said, he has those little receipt
Yep,
maker.
he has a little receipt tongue thing. Question, Cam, did you watch the version of the story with improved special effects?
Okay, so I did for some and some for some I didn't. Part 3 I saw it with the new effects, but all the others I saw with the old effects, if that makes sense.
More lasery guns.
Yeah, but like those laser guns are not good. It just kind of just I kind of prefer the original laser guns where it is just a line. It's just like it's like when we talked the special editions are kind of like what we talked about for it can carry it over for majority of them as we talked about for the first one we did, which was Day of the Daleks. Of it's just kind of like, oh, they're replacing the shitty 70s effects with shitty effects from like the early 2000s that you had a limited budget for that you just had like Adobe After Effects for
Yeah.
a couple of weeks to work on your spare time. Like that's what it looks
Yeah,
like.
it's not really more budget. It's just they have computers now. So I watched the majority of this story with the updated effects, and it was fine. I was looking on YouTube earlier, and the older effects are fine too. Nothing extraordinary.
So Ben, that leads us to a new segment that I want to do on the podcast. I want to come up with a name for it. Part of me wants to do like the clams versus like what's a good effect in Doctor Who? I don't know. But like I kind of want to do something with the clams because the clams are such a bad effect, or the giant rat, two of the most iconic bad effects of all of Doctor Who. Like something like that compared to like something a really good effect. So basically, for the ongoing future, I want to do a segment where we rank the best special effect in the story and the worst special effect for a story. Of course, every episode, even the new series, has at least one good special effect and one bad special effect. So Ben, what do you think was? Of course, you're gonna have a weird perspective on this, but you said you saw some of the clips. So what is the best special effect and what is the worst special effect for this story, in your opinion?
I don't think it's that. It's both stuff that I don't think was changed. The best I thought was in that first episode, the swarm making contact with the TARDIS,
Interesting.
where you got like I don't know. It looked like liquid in space, and it's like lightning or something. I thought it looked really cool, and they do a little snippet that's basically the same in episode 2, I think, where they make like a little shuttle crash into the station.
But like I'm looking at it now, Ben, I think you're just thinking of the special edition. Did you see the old one?
What are you looking at?
On the YouTube version, it's at 11:51. Like it's just a line, Ben.
Oh no, that's not what I'm talking about.
What are you talking about?
Go to 10:58 or 10:55
Oh,
or
when the
whatever, around there.
when the TARDIS gets it with it. You said the Doctor, so I was thinking that moment of the serial.
When the TARDIS is like being contacted by the swarm, and there's all those stuff going on. I thought it was cool.
Makes much more sense. I thought you were talking about those lines
No.
coming out of the TARDIS. I had to rewatch it because I'm like, what the fuck is he talking about?
No.
Makes much more sense.
But yeah, that I think was the best.
My opinion, the best one. I love the Bial Foundation like asteroid model. I think that's adorable. And like the having the big like it's like the Red Cross on it, and then they have like a big antenna satellite on it, and like they have like the little window holes punched in like the model
Mhm.
asteroid. It's wonderful. I love model shots like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, there were quite a few of them, or not quite a few, but several this episode. That models are always cool. There's a kind of craftsmanship to it that I can always appreciate.
Yeah. And what do you think is the worst one, Ben? I think we're gonna share the worst one, but we might be wrong.
It would have to be the white blood cells.
Really? No, for me it's the nucleus. The nucleus is awful. I hate that design, Ben.
I was thinking that's more just like a character than a special effect. But yeah, that
That's still a special
It
effect.
looks so bad. And clearly, whatever poor guy is in that costume cannot walk, so they have to have other people like push him along.
Definitely. That guy can't see for shit.
And so it's just like
And he can't like
doing arm movements, and it looks kind of gross and just really awful. I mean,
and it's the cover for the Target novelization, which is hilarious.
really.
Yeah.
Yeah, that looked bad. The white blood cells were almost like funny levels of like, really? You're even you're going with that, really? But speaking of, in part 3, they get the clones injected into the doctor's brain. And so we have all these sets, some of them CSO, a little bit real, that the clones walk around. What did you think of that kind of section?
It's one of those moments like we talked about of just like overambition. Doctor Who, throughout the start and from to this day, is overambitious with the budget that they have. And that's what part of the charm of Doctor Who. Because like there's something to like, I haven't seen the Web Planet, but like you have seen the Web Planet. There's still a charm to that of like they thought they could pull that
Eh,
off. It's so cuddly, Ben.
Which?
The whatever the fucking moth guy is. I forget his name. The Zarbi? Isn't it the
The
Zarbi?
Menoptera. Zarbi are the ants.
But the ants are also fucking terrible looking. One day we have to do that story. You're gonna have to rewatch it, Ben, so we can talk about it on the
Oh,
podcast.
please don't make me.
That's gonna make me want to do it even more.
So fucking boring, and it's 6 episodes long. I mean, like a lot of, especially First Doctor stories,
Yeah.
the first part where there's like some mystery and intrigue is kind of good, and then it just is boring for 5 episodes of bug civil wars.
That's the good thing about the way that you did it, because like a lot of that stuff, like it's kind of gonna be like a high from there. Even if you enjoy Hotnell, like you got past the stuff that you weren't able to watch, and we only have the audio
Oh,
for the
yeah, no.
telesnaps. It's
When
like,
I do something, I do it. I was committed.
but like what I'm just saying is like you're not gonna get that low again.
God, I hope
There's
not.
gonna like Warriors from the Deep is gonna be rough, Ben. It's gonna be rough, and Time Lash is gonna be rough.
Warriors from the Deep? Is that a new?
Regarded as the story that killed Doctor Who. No, that's an old one. It's Fifth Doctor. There's one special effect in there that basically killed Doctor Who.
It has the derpy Santarans.
No, it's Sea Devils, Ben, and the Silurians.
Or did I say Santaran? I meant Silurians.
Yeah. Need to correct you before the comments. The comments would kill you. One guy would be like, excuse me? Shut out, you one guy.
I was just looking at the 2014 big list poll. I was checking to see how low is the Web Planet in the list of every Doctor Who episode. It's 219 of 241 as of 2014, so not that bad. I
No.
mean, it's bad, but
This is
like,
Defenders.
there's worse.
I found this the other day, Ben. It's been under my desk this whole time. And what this is, audio listeners, it's the magazine for the 2014 poll. So all this time I was checking the internet. I could just check the magazine.
I was at Barnes and Noble the other day, and it's out. Oh, awesome! They have Doctor Who magazine. Even though I'm in America, I want to get that because I can't get it any other way, and it's like $18. That's crazy.
That's insane. Back in my day, paid $10 for this boy. So that's inflation right there. Inflation just
I
killing.
mean, I did get the one that was like $2 more expensive because it was like a Christmas special that had like exclusive art cards. It was like in an envelope.
Like sometimes they have Big Finish. Did
That one did not have a Big Finish promo. Just the art cards. There's one of like McGann. There's one of like, it was the one where it's like the War Games in color was just about to come out. So there's one of like a colorized photo of Troughton posing with several monsters of the age.
Yeah, I definitely, we're getting on topic, but definitely it's always something that I always wanted to read more of, but it's just too goddamn expensive. I'm not gonna spend, I don't know how much it costs for a yearly subscription, but I'm not going to spend that much money on it. Like, that's insane.
Would you get the digital one if you did? I
Maybe,
mean, it's probably cheaper than
but like, I don't.
getting a real magazine. Like, I don't think as an American you can get a subscription.
I think you can. It's just like you just have to like go through some third party maybe. But I probably wouldn't get a subscription. I probably would only get copies that interested me. I would still want to get the. They did one a couple of issues back with. They interviewed Philip Pinchcliffe. It's like recently, so I'm curious to see like what he would think about the show now and like that interview. That's interesting to me. And then also listening to all like the showrunners of New Who talking about Philip Pinchcliffe would be interesting.
Yeah.
Especially after we just watched it. But anyways, Visible Enemy, Ben.
Yes.
What else to talk about?
Going back, speaking.
Oh no, you asked me about the show being overambitious. Go back to that. I said what planet, and that just got us on a tirade that just somehow led us to Doctor Who magazine, ladies and folks.
The brain sets.
Yes, it is an over-ambitious story. I think anybody that watched this story, even on the day of transmission for the 4 parts, would tell you that this is being over-ambitious for the budget that they had. But there's a charm to that. Going from it's the majority of the story isn't really over-ambitious, just because a lot of it is just that it's just like basic sets, and it's not really interesting spaceship sets. But of course, them going inside the body is the most ambitious thing. Also, doesn't help that's the most ambitious thing, and they also spent so little time on it, so you really can't spend. You can't justify so much of your budget on that because it's seen for only what like an eighth of this full story in perspective, maybe.
Yeah, probably about 50 to 70% of part 3. But yeah, they had to do the Titan base sets. They had to do the Bial Foundation sets.
Multiple sets for that.
We're back into. We have a new TARDIS set
Yeah, which we have to talk about. What do you think of the new TARDIS set, Ben?
We're back to the kind of traditional white roundels. What do you call the thing that goes up and down in the center? The time rotor, where you have that. I mean, I couldn't tell you what specifically was different about it from the last time we were in this version of the console room.
Which I think was Pyramids of Mars, because it's Pyramids of Mars, and then we don't see it in Brandon Morbius, and I don't think we see it in Seeds of Doom.
More gothic one was starting with Mask. I couldn't tell you which ones that the previous TARDIS was part of. I guess it was Pyramids of Mars.
It would have been. I'm right on this, Ben. Don't question me on this.
But are you glad we're back to the classic?
It does look cheap. I'll say that. Like, it doesn't feel like the expensive set. Even in like Pyramids of Mars, it felt a little bit more expensive looking than this. This looks cheap. It looks like they can't afford an actual real TARDIS set. I think the for how much I am not the biggest fan of the season 14 TARDIS interior, I think that does look a little bit more higher quality than this one. This one does feel like what it is at the end of the day, which is cobbled together, and it's not like, oh my god, a new TARDIS set. It's just like, okay, this is what we had.
Yeah, it's more classic, which has the appeal to it, but it's a little, at this point, it feels a little drab compared to what we had just had. Because I know you had your misgivings. I kind of liked it.
I like the mood of it. I don't like the No Time Rider it's a really big point of mine. I don't like it, Ben.
True. That was a big negative for sure.
All right, Ben. I think let's just transition to the nucleus of the swarm, Ben. What did you think of the nucleus of the swarm this episode?
Interesting conceptually. When the nucleus grows and it's a big lobster, that looks bad. And it is bad, and it should have been better. When it's like a little blob in the center of the Doctor's brain, that was kind of interesting.
I didn't think so. I think that looked also terrible because it's just like a claw. It's just a claw. You could just tell it's just like, you can kind of just tell they had a claw laying around, so they just put a claw in there, and then when they had to build it, the full flop, they're like, oh fuck, we need to use this claw. Like it looks terrible.
Yeah, but to talk broadly, about the swarm as a concept. I think it's interesting having the Doctor painted more as a somewhat untrustworthy figure at times because he's being controlled by this outside entity is an interesting premise.
No, I think that my thoughts on it is that one, it's kind of a repetitive thing for this era of Doctor Who. We've got a possession aspect of it before in things like Ark in Space and things like the Seeds of Doom. And was there anything last season that had to do with being possessed? Hand of Fear kind of has a little bit of possession in it.
Yeah, I would say more than a little bit.
But like this story, it's again, well, you can tell that that is a theme that Robert Holmes likes, is things, people being possessed by these alien creatures. And of course, this one has the twist of it's like a bacteria that you don't see. I think the special effect that they do for them is great, like the eye thing that they have of like this fungus growing out of them. That's a cool
And the
idea.
scales, yeah.
And it's like it's something that like of course it's not ambitious for Doctor Who to do something like that. Doctor Who can do that, and it does do it pretty successfully. And I do, like you mentioned, I do love the idea of having the Doctor be infected. That is such a great premise for the side of the story, and just a continuing aspect of the story of the Doctor and Leela have to fight against the Doctor is also possessed in this whole thing. It takes main hero out of the main thrust of the story. So there is some stakes in there, you know? But they're not the most threatening of bad guys. They're not the most inventive. I think it would have been much more interesting if they really played up with the fact of they're possessing these people. Like imagine if they really played up with the horror aspects of on this hospital base. They're taking over the base one by one slowly, and it's like horrifying that like they're going down section by section, but they keep getting infected. It's like they could have played with that a little bit more. Instead, it's kind of there's not a lot of suspense there, and it's just kind of they take over the base pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And then once they are infected, once the base is infected, it just becomes shooting practice for Leela and
Yeah.
K9.
It's just it doesn't do a good job really making the swarm seem like this unstoppable force that could conquer the galaxy if left unchecked. It's just like four guys that can be shot and that's it. You know, blow
And then being like, "We're gonna get you, Doctor."
but Leela does a lot of fighting in this episode.
Oh boy, she does.
What did you think of Leela this episode? I feel like, she was good. She was got a lot of action.
Yeah.
I don't like the kind of implication that they make that one, she's kind of essential to this process because she's immune, but they explicitly are like, oh, she's just like, she works on like instinct and intuition. She doesn't have like logic or intelligence. And I would disagree. I think she's very intelligent. She's just not
Yeah.
as in tune to the ways of this world.
Yeah, she's intelligent, but she's just not intelligent in like a science fiction
Yeah,
setting.
yeah. But I do like her as this figure that like she can sense the presence of evil and
Oh yeah. No, that is cool about Leela's character. Yeah, and I think that you bring up a good point with that it is kind of disappointing that they just they just pinpoint her just being this person that relies on instinct, which there is more to her than just that. But of course, like there's a story, she is great. She is like the Doctor not being fully in control of the story. Of course, she takes more over the lead role of a lot of this story. Probably for the first time as a companion, that she really has had this much screen time by herself. That she kind of has to carry the story for a lot of it, and she does a good job. It is when she takes over a story, it is just Leela killing people. So there is a level of
yeah.
satisfaction to watching that. It's not gonna be the most boring thing in the world to be like, okay, Leela's shooting. Leela's gonna be shooting and having to overcome an obstacle of strength here.
And she comes up with the grand plan to destroy the swarm once and for all, to just blow it up. And the Doctor's like, no, I know. Let's blow it up. Thought that was funny. So, what do you think? What would bring this story up from just an average serial of Doctor Who to one for the history books? What is missing? Are there changes to the story? Is there things that they shouldn't have done?
I think it's just like I mentioned previously, just a couple minutes ago, they really played up with that horror aspect of the swarm and them taking over you. Like basically, if they were kind of like the infected for The Last of Us in a way, but like those are just zombies, but like really play up with like they're getting transformed, they're like being taken over by this virus, and like they are not like they are just a host of this like virus entity. Really play up with that. That could have been cool, but instead they just get it taken over, and then they just have this eye thing, and they just become boring British people. Like that's what happens when you become a swarm person, is that you just become British and boring.
The worst fate known to man. Yeah, maybe I think it would have been interesting if they leaned even more into like what was it you were saying? Fantastic Voyage. If that was like,
Yeah.
50 to 75% of the whole story, where that was kind of
But then bad imagine how bad those special effects would be.
if they diverted some of like if they did like one hospital bedroom and that's it.
That's not the most expensive thing in the story, Ben. That's really
Take like
cheap.
the 200 pounds they spent and put it towards like a couple more fake plants for the inside of the doctor's brain or something. I don't know. It might have made it look worse, but maybe that it would have made the story more interesting. I don't know.
I think that probably would have made it more boring personally. Just because like that's the least interesting aspect of the story is when they go into the body and they have to fight the white blood cells and go to the nucleus. But who knows? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that would be cool.
I guess we will see. Or I mean won't see.
When Doctor Who does a Fantastic Voyage again. It's gonna happen at some
Maybe
point.
this season. We'll see.
Well, we know not this season. We already know the episodes. Unless there's a twist that happened there. They're like, Shooty, we gotta go inside of you. But not like that. Not like that, Shooty.
Maybe. I have a question that I thought would be interesting to talk about.
Yes.
What kind of impact could this story have on the future of Doctor Who? Are there characters or monsters or even just, character development or themes that are carried forward to make this a meaningful story to the canon?
Well, of course, this is most influential because, of course, we got a sequel to this and a Big Finish story,
Yes, we did.
which is named. I had it pulled up. What do you remember? Did you have the name
I
down?
didn't write it down, but it's like it's a seventh Doctor, Revenge of the Swarm.
Oh boy, I'm so ready to listen to that.
So the Swarm will return. We'll have to talk about that at some point, maybe. Of course, we have K9, which various incarnations of are gonna be our companion for the next handful of seasons, plus K9 and Company, plus K9.
Of course, and like it just even like he gets his own TV show, Ben, which I know you're so excited to watch.
But it's not BBC. It's like not the core canon. We would have to be running out of stuff to talk about for us to talk about that.
Well, watch the first episode of it, maybe when we get there.
Maybe. I'm more interested in Torchwood and Sarah Jane Adventures and Class.
And of course, the BBV fucking
Oh well, yeah. Wartime, Zygon, when you being you isn't enough. I don't know. That when it's something that's like kind of outside of the canon, I would prefer like 30 to 60 minutes in and out rather than here's a 52 episode TV show.
yeah.
I'm not watching all of K9.
Interesting fact: go back to Revenge of the Swarm on time scales as a 6.1 average rating.
So it's above average. It's better than a 5. Think that's about it for that. Any
I want to give a shout out before we wrap up, to the professor. I like the professor this episode. He was fun. I got like, did you not find him fun?
Oh yeah, I liked him.
Did you see that he was familiar looking?
Vaguely, I thought he might be.
He's the guy, the same actor as the guy that was in the possessed guy from Planet of Evil, The guy that has like the fucked up eyes, the main scientist that's like antimatter.
Oh yeah.
He's that guy. He just has like a little beard now.
I'm looking on the wiki. He was also he's been on Doctor Who a long time. He was the leader of the Savages or whatever, the leader of whatever in the Savages, which we'll have to talk about that at some point. So, should we talk about cliffhangers?
Yes, Ben. Let's go to cliffhangers.
Cliffhanger numero uno. Doctor, which is under control by the nucleus, lines up to shoot Leela.
Dun, dun, dun.
Don't do it, Doctor. Two, the clones of the Doctor and Leela are injected into the Doctor's brain. Number three, the nucleus grows to human size.
What a terrible fucking cliffhanger.
Wow, what's the best one?
I think it's the one they shrink down. I like that little special effect of
Yeah.
the whoosh of like the
And they're
whoop.
like, spinning.
And like there's a good Dudley Simpson score to that of da 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 da.
Yeah, I would agree. That's the best.
Also, shout out to Dudley Simpson. Dudley Simpson did a good job this episode. Like Dudley Simpson is having fun at whatever machine he does to make this a synthesizer, or piano, whatever the hell. He's having fun over there.
Yeah, I mean we don't talk about him enough, but he's like in most of these, right?
Oh no, he does like majority of the Tom Baker stuff.
And for the most part, it's kind of or it's pretty good. When this music is bad, we definitely complain about it. So it's like,
Oh, weird. Usually, most of the time we comment on it if it's not Dudley Simpson. Dudley Simpson is kind of like what we expect out of
Yeah.
Doctor Who at this era. When it's not Dudley Simpson, it's like, what the fuck is this? Where's Dudley?
Yep.
Because remember how weird it was Death to the Daleks has the weirdest fucking score.
Yeah. So Cam, what would you rate this episode?
I'm gonna go a 6.8. It's average.
Let me look back. Do I like this more than Planet of Evil? I think I do. Do I like it more than Face of Evil? No. Do I like it more than Santaran Experiment? I'll give it a 7.1, which gives us an average of 6.95. And to look at the rankings, Doctor Who Magazine has done a poll a couple times.
Ben, I have the magazine in my hands. I'm going to read out the 2014 poll. In the 2014 poll, it rated number 196. Previously in 2009, it rated 164. Average rating, we get this in the magazine, but we didn't get this on the website. On the average rating for The Invisible Enemy is, what do you think it is, Ben? Let's play this game.
A 6.9.
It's a 60.49. So you were rarely off. Doctor Who fans, not as a whole, do not like the story as much as us. But I think it kind of makes sense that like it's because it's like whole numbers, so that you can't do like percentages, right? At least from my memory. So like, I could imagine a lot of people voting this like the most probably common ones are going to be a 5 or 6 or a 7. So I can understand that getting down. I think that makes sense for this story. Because can't you see a lot of people voting this like a 5, a lot of people voting this like a 6, and a lot of people voting it like a 7, like we did?
I think it makes sense for an average. In terms of just fourth Doctor era, in 2023 it was 34. In 2014 it was 35. In 2009 it was 34. And in 1998 it was 35.
And what is above and below this in the poll, Ben?
It is right below Nightmare of Eden and right above The Creature from the Pit. 2 stories we've not seen. I'm looking. This is the lowest rated one we've ever seen.
Damn.
We haven't seen anything below it.
I'll take this over Mask and Dragora.
The closest one above it that we have talked about is Revenge of the Cybermen.
Yeah, but they're insane, Ben. Like, imagine wanting to watch Revenge of the Cybermen over this.
It's crazy. So I think that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please be sure to like and comment. We love to see all your comments telling us about your experiences with Doctor Who in general and for this episode in particular. You know, give us your hot takes and your cold takes.
Tell us how wrong we are as dumb young Americans.
Yes, we are very dumb and very young and very American.
Yeah.
Howdy, partner.
You know how scared I am, Ben? I just thought about this on my drive from work to home. Of like the Doctor Who, the collection sets. Are they gonna get infected by tariffs now?
Oh no.
Like,
I mean, we don't. I mean, if you import the UK region 2 copies,
oh yeah, that would go up, but who knows? Who knows what Trump's going to consider a tariff? He's going to put a tariff on everything Doctor Who related because it came out of Britain. It's not being produced in the United States of America, man.
I mean, I don't know if they can restrict the transfer of the files to BBC America or whoever does it.
I have no idea. It's Entertainment 2 used to do it. I forget who. I don't know who does it now.
I don't know. I guess we'll see. But yeah, thank you so much for tuning in and have a wonderful rest of your day.
Peace out, everyone.